And one time I literally got stabbed by one because one got left in the bed one time. And I was like, what is
Bruh.
that?
Sandy is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results.
Listen, let's talk about streams of income. We talking about 2025 coming up. We could have a whole new stream of income.
Welcome to the Growing in
You
Love
deny your
podcast.
blessing. Blocking your blessing.
We are your hosts.
Subscribe to my OnlyFans page. Sorry.
Gosh. What a way to start a conversation today.
Well, welcome back to the Growing in Love podcast. This is your host, Bria Smith.
I'm trying to I'm trying to get back in here.
I just want to know
Y'all
if they
should have
would
heard
subscribe.
y'all should have heard the conversation we were having beforehand.
What?
It started because you said you wasn't you first of all you were like the other day you were like, yeah, I'm gonna cut your nails for you. I was like, cool, I appreciate that. And then you try to play like you didn't want to cut my nails.
No, I cut your nails all the time. I was just saying that they are like weapons. Okay? They're real thick. They're real hard. You got to duck and dodge when you're trying to cut them. So, and they hurt. And one time I literally got stabbed by one because one got left in the bed one time. And I was like, what is
Bruh.
that?
Well,
Your toenail.
You know that bruh.
Your toenail. Yes, they are dangerous. Them things is dangerous. And now I'd be
You
like,
said
you
you
know
had
what?
to you said
I
you said you had to duck and dodge.
I do when I'm cutting them,
Bruh, my feet be on the other side.
babe. I have to take your toes. How they gonna be on the other side? I be like this, and I'd be
True.
like, yeah. See, you don't know. They don't know the cost. They don't know the cost. Okay,
That's
it's all right.
that is crazy.
It's fine. But I love you, so I do it anyways. The sacrifice. That's real love.
Put in the comments right now, husbands.
But
Does,
ask him to see my toes. Do
does
you
your
do my toes?
okay? There's two parts. One, husbands. Does your wife?
And would you subscribe to my holy fans? That's what they
Bruh,
really
you're
wanted
not.
to say.
No, we're not selling pictures of your feet. Get out of here. They can give to the podcast, but not for your feet. Amen.
And if you want an extra view of
If
the
you
toes, then you can pay extra.
if you don't extra view of what?
Extra for a different type of view of the toes. They do praise dances.
I'm about to. You better get him to.
Listen, let's talk about streams of income. We talk about 2025 coming up. We could have a whole new stream of income.
Welcome to the Growing in
You
Love
deny
podcast.
your blessing. Blocking your blessing.
We are your host.
What's in your hands?
My wife is tired.
Listen,
She is famished.
people
We
don't
haven't
know.
we haven't eaten.
and some people don't know what they got.
Did you eat some of that Chuck E. Cheese pizza today?
I didn't. You ate that.
That junk's gone.
Anyways,
This is who we
what
are.
are you going through this week?
What am I going through? I'm going through your foolishness about,
Wow.
about your about your holy fans. That's
Listen.
crazy. That is crazy.
Listen, that's all right.
Well, this is the end of the year recap. It's been a lot that we've been growing through.
Yeah,
Our last episode, we had
real heavy.
yeah, that's the first episode I think we've both cried on.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm sure.
but it feels good to have that out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's a lot, I can say that we're growing through. In particular, for me this week, I would say that, the last, 2 months or so, it just felt like really busy.
Yeah, they have been.
And, you had travel for work. I've had travel for speaking. And there was a period where it's like, you were gone, I was gone, you were gone. We had a break, then I was gone. And I just preached. I preached today, and I was just like, man, yeah, the month of December, I preached 3 Sundays in a row. So I'm tired, boss.
Yeah.
Tired. And I was just like, man, like, I'm ready to just unplug. Just ready to just kind of, unplug for a little bit, take a break. So I think the growing part was just like making it through, Like, I was like, Lord, just give me the strength to just finish this last assignment well
Yeah.
for the year. Um,
And you've done great, babe.
yeah, thank you, baby. Thank you. Yeah, we had a like the old saint said we had a time with the Lord today. But yeah, I mean that's pretty much what I've been going through. Just trying to make it to like the end of the year because it's just
Yeah.
like bro, I'm just tired. You know.
Yeah.
I remember the other day we put the boys down for bed. Let's say like 8:15, 8:30.
Oh yeah, lights. But I'm like, what? I can't even walk to the bed. It be so dark.
I came downstairs,
At
gave you a
8:30.
kiss. I don't think you knew like that I was actually going to bed. Came upstairs, the lights were out.
I was like, oh, this is serious.
Yeah, I was like, bro, I'm tired. That's the earliest I've ever been to bed since being an adult.
Yeah, and you like
Besides
you
being,
weren't on your phone. You just went to bed.
oh no, I was
Like you was
asleep,
asleep
like
at 8:30.
straight up,
8:30.
and I felt great.
Yeah, sometimes you need those type of.
I'm gonna start doing that a little bit more in 2025. That's gonna be one of my resolutions. Amen. What are you growing through?
I think I'm going through like just being vulnerable with how I am,
Mm,
even if I feel like I don't know, it's hard to talk about.
yeah.
So like I think I've talked about this before, but I'm not sure. But at the beginning of this year, I started going to a holistic doctor, and that's when I realized that I had very low vitamin D. Well, that affects me during the fall and the winter a lot, just because obviously it gets dark sooner, so there's not a lot of sunlight out. And then if you just go outside, even if you're going to take a walk in the cold, you're putting on more layers, so your body is naturally not getting enough sunlight. Well, for me, since I already have critically low vitamin D, um, some people call it seasonal depression, but my energy goes very low. So things that I would normally be motivated to do, I'm just not motivated to do them. So it is very hard for me to do very simple things. And there's a lot of things for me to do. So a lot of times I'll just push through and not say anything. But I think it was maybe like 2 days ago where I was just like, I just came to you and it was just a very off day. And I was just like, I think I may have seasonal depression.
It was
And that's
yesterday.
because, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I think it's because I don't have a lot of vitamin D. I take vitamin D supplements. Sometimes it doesn't make a huge difference. But I was like, I have to make myself accountable and just take walks daily. Like I just have to do what I have to do to confront what's going on. And it's like certain things, it's like you can know them, but you will just still sit in that reality and just be like, okay, well, I just know during the fall and the winter, I'm just not going to have a lot of energy. But for me, I'm just like, no, like God has called me to, have these certain roles and I want to be energized and I'm not just going to sit here and just accept that I have this. I'm going to take a walk every day, make sure I'm still getting enough sunlight as possible, make sure I'm taking these supplements, and I'm just going to, try to create a better reality for myself. I'm not just going to sit and dwell in this. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to continue to be motivated. Like, like every day I've been working out. It takes a lot of energy for me to work out, but it's like it's needed
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to do whatever I can to kind of just push through the season. So if anybody is going through seasonal depression, it may not be seasonal depression. You may just lack vitamin D.
Yeah, and I mean with the time change, the time
Yeah,
the time changes
because
a
when it's
lot.
5 o'clock and it's dark.
Yeah, and that's what's frustrating. I genuinely believe that I don't know how controversial this is, or controversial, but you know, there's like a big debate if they're gonna ever like stop doing daylight saving time and all the things. I think man, a part of that is intentional. Like I really do like the time change because they know that people deal with this. So because they deal with this, they're gonna have to get antidepressants, and like
Yeah.
that's a way of funding. Yeah, I don't want to go into a conspiracy theory because it's not. I just think like some of that. I really do think it's intentional. And I mean, even our kids are like, man, like, bro, we gotta go to bed already. And it's just like, nah,
Yeah.
it's only 5 o'clock. But when you change the time, it just
And
yeah,
people don't understand, like, when your body sees that it is light outside, it's what wakes you up,
yeah,
right? And then when it starts to get darker outside, that tells your body, hey, like, I
sun
can
shut down.
slow my rhythm down.
Mm,
I can start to get more tired. So it makes sense that you're more tired, but
yeah,
we still have things to do. So
yeah, yeah. But we're
yeah,
growing through.
we're going through.
We're growing through. Speaking of growing through, this year has been a year. 2024 is at its end, which is crazy to think.
Mhm.
This year always goes by. The year just goes by fast, man. It's just like when you
It
grow up.
is.
You remember like growing up and you'd be like, man, I'm ready for Christmas, and it was like it took forever to get to Christmas, and like that week of was just like torture to wait.
Listen, not no
Now
more.
you blink twice, it's like, bro, it's already
When
Thanksgiving.
it's October, you might as well say 2025 because
Yo, you know Mariah Carey, she be
it's time.
okay. I was about to try it, but I already knew it was about to be bad. I just said, bro, don't even try. You about to get meaned up,
Can I have some more?
screen recorded up. Yeah, just don't even do it. But yeah, like, um, it's the end of the year, and this episode we want to talk about preparing for 2025, while also talking about some things maybe that we've learned this year. You thirsty?
You did not have to call me out. Okay.
He said, "Can I can I have some water?"
I'm trying
You can
not
have
to.
the water.
I am trying not to pass out on this podcast because I'm coughing.
You can have the water.
Wow.
You don't have to have some.
I mean, I was just like, I might as well just take it now.
I mean,
There's
it's
a couple sweets
yours.
left.
Because I looked over and I
Wow.
said, that water
That's
is
fine.
gone.
This is not supposed to be acknowledged.
I'm sorry. But yeah, we want to just kind of recap this year, talk about maybe some things we've learned. We could share about what our word was for the year, like that process, and just preparing for 2025. You know, usually I won't say every year. I don't want to lie. maybe the last maybe the last 3 years. You think?
Wait, you had a word?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I really don't remember any of them besides, shift.
Yeah.
I remember that one because that was a word for like 2 years or maybe 3. But I remember shift was a word. And then last year was discipline.
Yeah. And I think the year before was like pivot, but that was more so for like our church.
And that's the same. Shift.
Pivot and shift is different
Oh,
because you can shift, but if you don't pivot, you can still go in the same direction.
here we go.
I'm being
I know
serious.
I'm just joking.
I feel like I could be all right. I could be like, wait, it's not the same. So for those who like don't know, there's times where we will. So this is what it kind of looks like at the end of the year for us. I will normally take maybe like a week or so, or just it's not always a week. It's just like I'll start like kind of seek the Lord as far as like, hey, like what are you speaking for me? What are you speaking for our family for the next year? Because I do believe that how you enter a new season matters. How you enter a new job matters. How you enter new relationship, new territory. How you enter a new anything matters. So for me, I take time to just seek the Lord on, hey, what's the word? And when we say like what's the word, like what's like one word that can speak to what this year is supposed to be about.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. God bless you, woman of God.
It's so funny because she tried to do it so discreetly.
Yeah, I was like, what's she
and
doing?
She tried to roll the bottle, but it
got stuck.
it made it 2 inches.
Shout out to Nigeria.
Yes, love you.
And
not die.
And yeah, so I'll take time to just kind of say like, Lord, what is the word that you have for us for this upcoming year? So for instance, like shift was a word for 2022.
Yeah.
And I thought that shift was, we've talked about this before, but I thought that shift was for our church. It ended up actually being for our lives.
Yeah.
And, God shifted us out of traditional ministry of pastoring a church. And it changed the trajectory of our family, literally, to new roles, where we live, just a whole bunch of stuff. And it's all from one word. So we've just kind of taken that same practice. It's not like legalistic or anything. It's just something that we've kind of grown to do together as a family.
Yeah.
And 2024, our word were actually 2020. Yeah, 2024.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Lord,
This year.
so we didn't have a. Did we have a word 2023? Listen, I was just trying to survive.
Shift. I think shift was the word for 2 years.
Okay, and yeah, so 2024, our word was discipline. So let's talk about that. Like, how did you experience discipline this year?
Well, I'll say this. Austin, God has um, blessed Austin to be the planner, right? Well, in certain aspects of our lives. And I love that because I am completely different, right?
You're great at planning when it's for the kids.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm that type of planner. Like when it comes to, hey, this is the things that need to get done for them, I'm that type of planner. But when it comes to like, hey, I'm gonna plan out my year or having like a 5 year plan or a 1 year plan, I just don't really go by those type of things because I feel like whenever you try to plan things, it's just like the Lord, He be taking me in all type of different directions. So I just be like, you know what, Lord, whatever you want to do, I'm not even gonna hold you to anything. Like I just let your will be done. So my planning looks a little bit different. I think I'm more of a kind of like a values person. So I kind of set my mind on if I'm going into a new year, I want to just make sure that I am in a good position. Um, so I'm in a position where I feel like I'm hearing from God, like I'm being more disciplined and actually like reading my word or praying or um, just reminding myself about gratitude or things like that, so that no matter what comes for the new year, I don't know where you're going to take me, God. I don't know what this new year may look like, but I know if I am grounded in you,
Hmm.
then whatever it is, I'm gonna be good, right? Because I could have never expected what was gonna happen in this year.
Yeah,
You have prophets and they'll speak to you and they'll tell you all these great things, but nobody tells you that you're gonna get a diagnosis that changes your whole life, right?
yeah,
And so there's certain things that you're just never gonna know, but what is gonna help you is your faith is gonna help you is those foundational principles and the values that you live by. And so when it comes to preparation now, I'm just kind of like, well, let me just prepare my heart and my mind to find Jesus and everything.
yeah,
So, but when it came to discipline, I like that we have a word for discipline. I mean, that we have a word for the year because I feel like the word for the year being discipline helped me to refrain my mind on certain things that we were going through. So when it came to stewardship or when it came to finances, I'm like, okay, Lord, discipline is the value. Discipline is the thing that we're working on. So I need to learn how to be disciplined in stewardship.
yeah. That's good.
When it came to certain things in our relationship, well, if I can learn how to be disciplined in communicating with my husband, then, you know, our marriage is going to continue to thrive.
Hmm.
If I can learn how to be disciplined in my prayer life, then it's going to help me get through this diagnosis.
Hmm.
And so it's just more like a theme for the year. And I think it's really good because it's just like if you don't have a word or if you don't have some type of vision for the year that you're going through, sometimes I feel like your mind can be chaotic. Well, I don't really know what vision it is, and I think it's so important to have a man, a husband, if you are married, to be able to say, you know what, this is what our focus should be on this year.
Yeah,
Like there's so many things that God is calling us to, but if we could be focused in this area, like every aspect of our life is going to grow because of it,
yeah,
right? And so I was so thankful that it was disciplined because I feel like in every aspect we had to be we had to be disciplined. Like you're
yeah,
always going to need discipline. So like exactly what I was saying. Every aspect of my life I've learned how to be more disciplined, and I think it's going to continue throughout 2025. And
yeah,
like I don't think that just because you have a word for 1 year and you feel like it's a new word from the previous year doesn't mean that you still shouldn't focus on that or that still shouldn't be in the back of your mind. And like I feel like we move on to a word because maybe you're supposed to have not conquer that word or you're supposed to
yeah.
have learned from it
I
or
feel
learn some
that.
type of lesson from it. But I feel like we're going to be learning from discipline for like the next several years.
Yeah, as you should. And I think um, something you said too. I mean, you alluded just because we're married, right? It's great for a man to have vision for their household. I also want to encourage you that if you're not married, you need vision for your life. A lot of people can
Yeah.
see, but they can't see. And the Bible talks about without a without a without a vision, the people perish, right? Without a plan, the people perish. So you need some type of vision for your life that comes from a greater perspective outside of yourself.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people have visions for their lives as far as what they want, and I think that's where we get in trouble. Where yeah, it's I tell people, man, like that I mentor, that I disciple, do discipleship with. I'd be like, hey, like it's okay to have a plan. Just write your plan in pencil,
Yeah.
because God is the one who's gonna orchestrate, and more than likely, I would say 100% of the time, the plan is not going to go according to plan.
Yeah.
Because if it does, then it's very easy for you to take the credit for that plan happening.
Mm-hmm.
And because it won't, then you're going to have to depend on God in certain seasons and certain aspects of the journey for you to get to the destination that you think you want to get to. And there's times where you'll get there and you realize, man, this ain't even what I thought it was supposed to be.
Yep.
So I tell people, like, yeah, have a plan, write the vision, make it plain,
Mm-hmm.
but also make sure you write in pencil. And it's not saying that you can't have any desires, right? But I just think the Lord wants to make sure that our desires, we don't have, like, our desires don't have us more than Him, if that makes sense.
And they're in His will.
Yeah, it's like
You know.
in being in His will. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's the safest place to be is in the will of God.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I was, when you were talking, I was just like looking because people a lot of times want practical, right? Like they want to know, like, okay, this sounds really good. And everybody's starting to have, there's recaps. You see, like on social media, you started thinking about, the review of this year, and then you started, everybody's always talking about, well, I'm cutting this person off, things not to take in 2020, 2025, all those type of posts, which is, to each his own. But I think there's a definition of insanity. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. So
X.
we can go into a new year
Mm-hmm.
with the same mindset, and you're going to get the same results. I don't care how big your vision board is. I don't
Right.
care how many journals you buy. Save your money and change your mind. Because if you don't change your mind, but you
Amen.
go to TJ Maxx or go to Amazon and people, are paying for planners and all this stuff, but you're not changing your mindset, it's just like
Yeah.
you're going to start in January, you're going to be done by February 15th.
And also, you have to do what works for you, okay? Because you know how many times I done bought them planners and they still empty. They don't got nothing in the planner. They blank. They real cute. They sit on the desk, but it's just like,
I wasn't talking about you.
I know, but in my mind, I'm just thinking like, do what works for you. Like, if you know you're not a person who writes things down, you're a digital person.
Yeah.
How would you make a planner? Go to Google Planner or whatever it's called. Like, I use Google Notes all the time because that helps me more because I'm always on my computer. I work from
Yeah.
home, so it's easier for me to do that than to do a planner. Like, just because you see something on TikTok and it's like, oh, that looks so cute, girl, do what works for you.
Yeah.
Do what works for you.
Now, I will say this too, though, to the point of like planning. So last year, or no, this year, golly, I keep trying to go back to last year. The beginning of this year, we sat down and the post actually went viral. I don't know if you'd be able to like show it on the edits whenever we like do this video. If not, we can like maybe we can link it in there or whatever. But anyways, like the post went viral on TikTok, and it was pretty much me in my office, and you recorded like in my office. I have a whiteboard that um, I just write stuff on it just to remind me. This year it's been like God is our source, which is, listen, He has been our source in so many ways. On the other side of my whiteboard, I have like the cork, and I like printed out a bunch of things. I printed out a believe list for 2024, and I think it's not just for 2024, but it just goes beyond, but specifically 2024. And then I wrote out, some desires that I have, and then also, what else do I have? So we created this. Bria and I think the kids were out of school,
Yep.
and we went to this coffee shop. We try to find like a different coffee shop every year that we've been doing it the last 2 years now. We either do a coffee shop or we'll go like if we're out of town, like we've done it in Atlanta,
Yep.
and then I forgot where we did in Charleston
Yep.
one year, and pretty much we just like come together and we write out literally for the year like what are our focus areas going to be, and we created a template. I'm going to be intentional about providing something for you guys for 2025 that we can maybe link and provide for y'all,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll figure out what that looks like. Maybe we charge like $5 for it. I don't know. Who knows? Whatever. But we'll see. But anyways, we have like focus areas. So like for us, we have like marriage, family, finances, and for each focus area. So like for instance, like for marriage, we have values and goals, right? So you mentioned values. Like what are your values? What are the things that you valued, and your values guide you
Yeah.
into making your actions, right? So you have your beliefs, you have your values, you have your behaviors. Your beliefs establishes your values.
Yep.
your values guide you and lead you into making actions, and your actions are your values and your belief into actions, right? Your behaviors are your values and your beliefs in action. So what we did is we created our values, and then we had goals for each value. So like for instance, for marriage, we said like, all right, these are our core values for our marriage: intentionality, curiosity, teamwork, growth, and fun. Right. Underneath that, we had different like behaviors that came from those values. So, for instance, if we say intentionality, staying intentional to keep marriage fresh and exciting and desirable, right? So these are just practical ways of like how we keep our values in the forefront. Um, and then so we did that for each one, and then for our goals, and I'm looking back at these now. I was like, man, this is, I mean, it's accountability. But you create goals, and these goals are great reminders for you. And maybe not maybe coming into this new year, we do a better job. Like maybe each month, just kind of looking at
Checking
our
in
checking in, right?
and making sure you're staying on track.
Yeah. Like for instance, we had a minimum of 2 date nights a month. Now
That didn't happen.
it did not happen, but we started, and I'll
I would
say,
say we have been intentional. They
yeah,
may look different.
they've been different, especially with everything with Bryce, because
Yeah.
our babysitter, one of our main babysitters that we had, shout out to Faith, she moved.
Yeah.
We don't trust everybody with our kids.
But then now, because he has a diagnosis, it's also different because people have to feel comfortable enough to be
Yeah,
able to, and we have to be comfortable enough with them to be able to take care of Bryce.
yeah. Reality, our parents really just started getting comfortable.
Yeah.
So I will say like one goal that we did have this year was no phones during dinner, and I think we've done really good with that.
Yeah.
There's been times where you'd be like, hey, you reminded me, or there've been times where we've gotten slack, but for the most part, we're not on our phone at dinner.
Yeah.
And that might sound like very simple or not anything significant, but again, when you say, hey, our value for our marriage is intentionality, then a part of being intentional is intentionally being present at the dinner table.
Yeah.
So that's a way that we kind of break it down. We do it for, again, our all of our focus areas: marriage, family, finances. So for each one, we had, like I said, core values. We had behaviors for that. For instance, with finances, we'll be a good steward of what's been given to us. When it came to family, we talked about reminding the boys of who they are, identity establishment. So one thing we do at night, we pray over them and we speak over them. I think we did a great job with the boys, with our family. One of the things we wrote down was presence and establishing memories, moments, weekend activities, vacation, and experiences.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely think we did that. Thriving holistically, physical health, eating. Definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, that was something
Definitely did
big.
that. Mm-hmm.
So I'm just looking through these, and we'll have to look through it, for ourselves as well. But
Yeah.
it's cool to see that when you write stuff out, and I think this is what's important. When you write it out, there's a level of accountability that you have for yourself if you're single, or if you're married, you have with your spouse, and you say, "Hey, like, you so kind." Um, but there's a level of accountability that you have with your spouse to be able to look back. She almost fell. A level of accountability that you have with your spouse to be like, okay, like, we didn't do this as much as we wanted to, but this is the opportunity again to carry over to next year.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, I can seek the Lord about, hey, what's a new word, and He'd be like, stay where you are
Yeah.
in discipline. So
And I think it also points out like now, like when you set this type of plan for
Yep.
yourself, and then you're able to look back and see, okay, well, now we can keep ourselves accountable. Were these were
Yeah.
our goals, these were our values. Did we stick to them? And how can we do better with it next year? Well, like you said, probably checking in once a month to say, you know what, we wrote out these plans. Are we still aligned with what we're trying to do?
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I think that will probably be a non-negotiable for us to always, at least on a monthly basis, to go back in and check and see if we're on the right track.
Yeah, and I think that checking in is good, not only with your goals for the year, but then also, one thing we've been trying to be more intentional with is just checking in with each other.
Yeah.
Where, like, when you get the "hey, we need to talk" text, it's not like a fearful thing. It's just more so like, "hey, I just want to check in on you, make sure you're good."
Yeah.
And God's really helped me to see that hey, we need to talk doesn't have to be traumatic.
Right.
It can be just like, hey, hey, I'm just checking in on you. We just need to talk. Like, I want to talk to you. I miss you.
Yes.
And I've noticed even for myself sometimes, like I told you earlier, when we just been going, just the business of the end of the year, the season we've been in, and I remember we were like, I think I text you when I was at work, and I was just like, hey, do you want to watch the Jamie Foxx
Yeah.
special with me? Because I was like, man, I miss Bria. Like I miss just like
Oh, you miss me?
I did. I did.
Oh my gosh.
What if I said no?
Ooh. That would hurt.
But
Podcast over.
podcast over. But nah, just like because you can be around someone, but not like feel like you've been interacting with them.
Yeah.
Because with our kids, they take a lot of our attention and just work, and
You have to be intentional.
there's times where I've been like, man, did I ask you if you had a good day?
Yeah,
And
it
just
happens.
and it's not intentional. It's just like, man, you just kind of find yourself on autopilot sometimes, right?
Yeah.
So I would just encourage like spouses to just let's reframe the I need to talk conversation. Like that doesn't have to be a bad thing. That actually can be a preventative maintenance where you're just checking in to make sure, hey, like how are we? Like are we good? Like what do you need? Like when you came to me, yesterday, and you're like, hey, this is just where I'm at right now. I'm like, cool. I know where you are. I know as a spouse how I can support you and how I can serve you and how I can hold you accountable as well. It's like, hey, you say you need to walk more, and what did I tell you as soon as you told me, hey, it's still nice outside. It's a little cold, but hey, go for a walk. I got the boys. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. I think when I think about lessons that I learned in 2024 is probably one thing that you were saying is like, yeah, life gets busy, and sometimes people equate busyness to being productive, but rest is also equally productive.
yeah, that's good.
Like, I think when you pour out or when you're giving so much, you have to remember that you have to be poured into. And so, like, throughout 2025, if we can just remember the rhythm of like walking, like there's so many times where like when it talks about different Bible stories, it's like, Jesus is walking with people and he's having a relationship with them, but he's walking, and it's not talking about like him running at a different pace, but it's just like the rhythm. You have to check your rhythm.
Yeah.
And you have to make room for God. And a part of that I feel like is found in rest.
Yeah.
Right? Being able to take time apart from whatever you're going through, from taking time apart from the distractions and being like, you know what, God, like I know I have my own, way that I'm seeing what I'm
Right.
supposed to be doing. But God, what is your will for my life? What is
Yeah.
your will for this day? Lord God, like give us this day, this daily bread. Like, what am I supposed to do today?
Yeah.
What have you called me to today? Because it's going to be different every day. But I think that's a part of like surrendering your whole life to God, like surrendering your day.
Yeah.
If you can surrender your day, God, if I can just surrender this hour to you, what do you want me to do today? Because then you kind of get out of that routine where you're just like, and then at the end of the week, you're exhausted. Yeah, because you're doing it by yourself.
Yeah.
When you were
Yeah.
never meant to do this by yourself. Like you were meant to walk with God. You were meant to give yourself, rest. And you are meant to commune with God. So I think rest is definitely a part of your everyday rhythm. Two, God has spoke something to me recently. I can't remember if I said it on here before or not, but I put it on my TikTok and it was like one day I was like sitting on the couch and I knew I was supposed to start posting again or just like share testimonies again or just start speaking to people again. And I was like, you know what, I'll do that in 2025 or like, I'll do that next year. I have time. And the Lord was like, the enemy can't stop what I have for you, but you can deny it. And I was like, let me get up. That same day,
I mean, just threw the phone in
but that's how it was. I was like, let me just get up. So that same day, I ended up making a video post, and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna do it. And I think sometimes the thing that stops people from what God has for them, it is not the enemy. It's not any type of outside forces. It is you. It's you not just like doing it. Like stop trying to wait till everything is perfect. Stop trying to wait until, oh, I'm going to do it on Monday. If it is Tuesday and God is telling you to get up and go work out, do not wait until Monday. Do it now. Like do it today. You don't know if tomorrow is promised, but it's just like, what if God has something waiting for you? But you're delaying it because you just won't get up and do it. Like just do it. So in 2025, like I'm gonna stop saying things and stop making excuse for things, and I'm just gonna do it right then.
Yeah.
And don't even give yourself enough time to think about it. Just be like, you know what, you you want me to go to the gym? I'm gonna just go. Okay.
Yeah, that's good. And I think even for myself sometimes is doing things without seeking approval from people. You know what I mean? Like just do it.
Yeah.
And if you don't have to, and again, I say this where I'm not being black and white about it, where it's just like you can't post stuff on social media. I think sometimes we will post prematurely because we want people to know that we're doing something, and we don't have the discipline that is deep enough to have roots. So we'll have this ideal about a product, or we'll have this ideal about something that we want to launch, right? And we'll post about it because we like the affirmation that people say, oh, that's good, like that, you know what I'm
Right.
saying? But then we don't follow through. So it falls through, and then now we're like, dang,
Yeah.
that's another thing that's just dropped.
Or
So, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say, or you stop prematurely because you feel like it's not succeeding in the
Yeah,
way that you thought it should succeed.
yeah,
You know how many people stop doing podcasts because they're like, oh well, we only have 100 views in our video, so I guess this is not what God has called me to do. When it could have, on your 100th video,
it could,
you could have 1 million views,
yeah,
but you stop prematurely because you're focused on how other people's perception of it is.
yeah. No, that's really good. That's really good. I think you just have to be comfortable to your point with the pace that the Lord has for you.
Yeah.
And as long as you're walking with him, there will be walks where it feels more intense,
Yeah.
depending on the capacity that he's giving you. And, you know, I love what you said about rest, because I think that's one thing for me in 2025. I know I'm called to a lot. I know that God has called me to do a lot, and the sense of capacity, like he's expanding that. I've seen it. I know that it's true. And rest has to be integrated into that rhythm.
Yeah.
And I don't want to find rest when um, I'm already at a place where I'm like, oh Lord, I'm tired. Like being proactive with rest.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because when you find yourself in um, high activity, where to be, whatever you do, where to be business, for work, where to be ministry, where to be a family, just when you're called to do a lot, it's very easy to go on autopilot. The problem is when you find yourself tired, is that's where the enemy likes to capitalize on your weariness.
Yeah.
And you have a lot of people who make bad decisions in a weary place. Not because they just wanted to make a bad decision, it's because you're I've said it before, like a restless man is a reckless man.
Yeah.
We see that with David when he was on the top of the roof. The Bible says at the time kings were supposed to be at war. David is at home and he's looking outside when he's supposed to be at war.
Yeah.
So one, you're out of position already. Two, he's tired and he looks across and that's when he sees Bathsheba. For those who don't know the story, Bathsheba was a woman that wasn't his wife. She was married to Uriah. He was a part of David's army, and David calls for Bathsheba to come over, and he has an affair with her.
Yeah.
All this came from a weary place. It's the same thing with Samson. Samson is tired, and he ends up putting his head in the wrong lap because he was tired. So, you know, not saying that's happening. It's just more so when you don't integrate rest into your rhythms, that can happen to anybody.
Yeah.
So I know for me, like a part of that practically is, I was talking this to somebody last week, I think, giving myself like, you know, a couple of days before I commit to an engagement now.
Yeah.
You know, really just like seeing, we have a rhythm now where it's like I'll check our calendar and everything. But there's been times where I've said yes to something. I'm like, dang, I shouldn't have said yes. I shouldn't have said yes. Because the reality too is, and this is to help some entrepreneurs who are watching right now, all money isn't your money. And all money isn't good money.
Yeah.
Because I remember when I was freelancing in graphic design, I used to just take any client. I was like, man, I could get this bag. The problem is some people ain't worth the headache.
Listen.
So you done said yes to a contract and now you stuck because you got to deliver a product. And you can't be cheap on your product. You can't compromise the integrity of your product because of the person.
Yeah.
But you can choose who you work with. And you have to know your worth. You have to also know that, hey, like this is what I call, this is my rate, this is my cost.
Yeah.
If you can't afford it, you're not my person. And that's hard because everyone wants to hear value, but somebody will. And when they do, it only takes one person to change your entire life. So I just want to encourage people with that, man. But that comes from valuing yourself enough to say no. And a no isn't necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes a no is actually a yes in disguise
Yeah.
because you're saying yes to you. And the reality is the person you say no to will find somebody else. Life will go on. Y'all will find another preacher. You'll find another speaker, but she won't find another husband. Mm-mm, not like me. My kids won't find another father like me. You know what I'm saying? So I have to be healthy enough to be able to be present for them,
Yeah.
to give them what they need, versus me saying yes to everybody else for the sake of content on social media.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, that's something I definitely want to integrate into 2025. And I'm trying to think what else. You got anything else that you like? That's like probably one of the strongest things for me.
Yeah, I think 2024 was definitely like, you reap what you sow.
Oh
God
yeah.
kept bringing me back to that scripture. And I think because I think sometimes we make things so complicated. When God is really saying, like, listen, whatever you put into the ground, like, it has to come back up. Like, that is a principle. That is a that
Yeah.
is a truth that is always going to happen. And so it's just like, if you want to get healthier, stop eating fast food, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you want to be stronger, how about you go to the gym,
Mm-hmm.
right? If you want to learn more about the Word of God, how about you get into your Word and
Mm-hmm.
start, studying the Word of God? It's like there's so many things. And then if you consistently do that, then it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to worry about it. Like that's going to happen. So I think it's just being reminded that like consistency. And then also another thing is like, I think successful people know that instant gratification is not a real thing.
Mm.
Like good things take time.
Yeah, that's good.
So if you're always looking for something, you have this idea and it doesn't work right away and you just feel like, okay, well then I'm going to be done with it. It does not work like that. If God has given you a vision for something, you keep doing it until it does,
Mm-hmm.
produce something because
Mm-hmm.
eventually it will. But you have to give it time enough to be able to do what it's supposed to do.
Yeah.
Right? And so yeah, instant gratification, that's not real. Keep doing it.
Yeah.
Like in 2024, sometimes you don't need to like reassess, okay, well, have I done this until the beginning of 2025, like for the next year? You need to reassess the year later to see, what, am I on track? Am I, doing well with this? Don't look at it every month and be like, okay, well, this has failed because,
Yeah.
I didn't know. Sometimes it's going to take 2 years. Sometimes it's going to take 3 years, 4 years, 5 years down the line.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest thing is like, are you growing?
Are you growing?
You know?
And growth takes time. To your point, it accrues interest, but you got to deposit something in the bank. And
Yeah.
most people are afraid to risk putting something in the bank because they're afraid of what they're going to lose. The reality is, you should be afraid of not putting something in the bank.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And I love what you said. Like sometimes it can just be a continuation. Maybe 2024 was just a year of establishing a foundation,
Mm-hmm.
and year 2025 is about adding to that foundation.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I think sometimes with like social media culture and just the world that we live in, to your point, this instant gratification, this microwave, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat generation that we have, folks be lying. And you be looking at people's lives thinking that you're behind. And the reality is, you, again, as I said on the last episode, you don't know people's lives. You don't. Your favorite influencer, your favorite person on TikTok, your favorite celebrity, athlete, pastor, preacher, whoever, maybe your neighbor that you follow on Instagram, you don't know their lives.
Yeah.
So people only show you what they want you to see. And I get it. We try to be as authentic as possible on social media, but obviously we haven't shown you guys everything as well, because everyone doesn't deserve your transparency and your vulnerability.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you just have to be really careful about comparing yourself and comparing your race to somebody else's, because, if you try to run like somebody else, they probably can run because they learn how to walk,
Yeah.
and they learn how to walk really well. But first they had to learn how to crawl,
Mm-hmm.
and then they learn how to walk, and then they learn what does this rhythm look like on a kind of like a speed walk, and then this speed walk turned into a slight jog, and this slight jog turned into having endurance in the jog, and then endurance in the jog. Well, let's turn up the pace. So you're looking at somebody who has 10, 15 years in the game, and you won't even start with one day.
Right.
because we want to get to year 15, but it's just like, bro, like just start where you are right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So just trying to really help people to see, man, like, one, you're doing better than what you think you are,
Yeah.
and do what God's told you to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And
Like,
take it one day at a time.
one day at a time.
If you can conquer the minute, you can conquer the hour, you can conquer the day, you can conquer the week, you can conquer the month, you can conquer the year.
Yeah.
But you have to take it literally one day at a time.
And you got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
You got to start somewhere.
Steward what you have.
Yes. That's one thing I think for me, like, stewardship was a big word,
Yeah.
you know, for this year, is just stewardship of time, stewardship of money, obviously. Just stewardship, seeing stewardship from a different perspective.
Yeah.
Like, what has God put in your hands, and what are you doing with it?
Yeah.
And not asking necessarily for more.
You
know,
can't steward them more if you can't steward what you have currently.
Yeah. Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. Like,
and I think stewardship shows the appreciation of of true gratitude as well.
yeah.
Because I remember, we've talked about this year, and maybe last season. Yeah, probably last season we talked about just, when we moved into this house, and how there was things in my heart that caused me not to be able to appreciate the house in the way I should, and most importantly, appreciate what God had did for our lives. And, yeah, this isn't going to be the last house that we live in, but it's just like, man, can you just be grateful for where you are now?
Yeah.
And can you steward? Can you take care of this house? Can you take care of the car that you have right now? Can you keep your car clean? Can you keep your office clean? You know what I'm saying? Because you want more square footage, but it's like, you can't take care of this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You want this type of job, but are you being faithful where you are right now?
Yeah.
So stewardship, man, it just like really any word or most words, I think, like discipline, it translates in so many different areas of your life. That's why even this conversation has been blessing me, because I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna still see the Lord, but maybe our word is still discipline in 2025, like deeper discipline.
Yep.
There's like tiers to it. Like, you just got off the shore. Now you kind of like in the 3 feet. And as God continues to trust you with more, it's like, okay, deeper discipline. You know what I mean? So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. I think one of the frustrating things is like my perspective has changed, because something that's frustrating for me is I kind of like vision it as if you're driving, like I think about life as a journey. So like we're on a road trip, and if I'm driving,
Am I driving or are you driving?
We're not even getting into that. So I'm driving, and if
Passenger
I
Prince.
keep going around in the same circle, that's frustrating. Because I'm like, you know what? I'm continuing to go around the same circle. We're never going to get there. But if I'm driving and I hit speed bumps, yeah, they're uncomfortable, but I'm still going in the right direction. I still will eventually get to where I'm going, right? And I think about that as life, and I'm just like, in your life, you're going to have speed bumps, so we say. But if in your life you're continuing to go around the same circle, you are never going to get to your destination. Like, something needs to change. But to me, growth looks like, yeah, we're going to go through speed bumps, but eventually we're going to get to where we're going. So it doesn't matter if we're like, we're not there at the same time as somebody else. But will we eventually get there? Yes.
Yes.
Are we having some speed bumps? Yes. But guess what? As long as we're not going around the same circle, that's what I don't like. But my perspective has always been like, sometimes you'll get frustrated because you're like, you want to be in this certain place. And I'm like, listen, it don't matter where, as long as if we still driving, listen, we gonna get there. I don't care about how long it takes us to get there. As long as we get there, we gonna get there.
Yeah, it reminds me of two things. One, it reminds me of that quote that I think I've given this quote on here before. I know when I preach, sometimes I like to share it, but it's from Thomas Merton, and he says that people spend their entire lives climbing a ladder only to get to the top and realize they put their ladder against the wrong wall. And I would hate to pursue things rushing to get to a there, only to realize like it's not where the Lord really wanted me, and not just me, where he wanted us. You know what I mean? Out of my selfishness. So I think about that. And then, I was going to ask you, what's one thing or a couple things that you're proud of yourself in 2024? One thing I was going to say is just that, to your point, yeah, I used to struggle really bad with like, I got to get here. It has to look like this. And I think, honestly, this year has really grown me up in a way where it doesn't mean that I don't have desires, But it's just like, Lord, however you want to do it, I'm really cool with like how you want to do things.
Yeah.
And I've noticed, babe, like when I have backed off from trying to make things happen myself,
Yeah.
the Lord has put me in places
Yeah.
where I couldn't network myself into this.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't DM enough people to get into this.
Yeah.
Like he literally, I remember my Ohio trip, like he literally orchestrated some things where I was able to be in spaces that 3 years ago I wasn't even thinking about.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So, it's just like kind of just getting out the way,
Yeah.
and really saying like, Lord, like however you want to do it, I'm cool with that. And yeah, just really just being open to like his pace, man. Like, I have desires again, and we've talked about that. God knows. He knows what I need,
Yep.
and he knows when I need it. And I think he's more concerned about, hey, what's in your heart? Who are you becoming? Because I can get you to a destination tomorrow. I
Yeah.
can do it right now. But if you're not ready in your character,
Yeah.
then now we're gonna have a different problem on our hands. Because
Yeah.
what good is the room if your character isn't good enough for you to stay in it?
Yep.
What good is the opportunity if you don't have roots enough that are deep enough for you to withstand what comes in that room, or in that position or that place, whatever that place there is. So,
Yeah.
that's something definitely for me. I think just like growing up my perspective, and then the other thing I'll say, and I'll throw it to you is, I'm proud of myself, but I'm also proud of us on how we've responded to adversity this year.
Yeah.
We mentioned everything with Bryce, and yeah,
Yep.
I'm not gonna allow the last I'm not gonna allow the last 4 months of the year to dictate. Oh, we had a bad year, because this wasn't a bad year.
It wasn't. I don't think of it as that.
It wasn't a bad year, but it's easy for people to allow 1 month or a short period of time to dictate the entire year. One tree, like my therapist says, one tree doesn't make the entire forest.
Yeah.
And this was not a bad year. It was a great year, actually.
Yeah.
It was a year that came with a lot of hardship. It came with some suffering, but it also came with some beautiful moments.
Yeah.
Like your job allowed us to um, uh, do content for one of the properties. Like that was like,
it's fun, a new experience.
you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yep.
God has blessed you tremendously this year. God's blessed our family. Like our kids are healthy.
Yeah. We're healthy.
We're healthy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like we still love each other.
Yeah.
We still like each other.
We're still married.
We sleep in the same bed.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And that seems like very small
I
things.
still cut your toenails.
You still cut my. Oh my.
Wow. Listen.
That's love.
That's something to shout for.
But it's real though. You know what I'm saying? You gotta like, the Bible says this, I recall to my mind, therefore I have hope.
Yes. Listen,
And
all you need is a memory.
you need a memory.
Okay.
But sometimes you just have to
God,
take
you are
time
faithful.
to slow down and just to be like, yo, like, yes, I haven't accomplished everything that I wanted this year. But the reality is, who does?
Listen.
Who does? And again, if they say they did, maybe they did. I don't want to judge. Maybe they did. But for most people, you haven't accomplished everything that you wanted to do. Because if that was the case, then what else is there to live for?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You got people who are accomplished, got everything they think they want, and are still missing what they need. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. I'm proud of us. I'm proud of us.
I can say the same thing. Like,
Yeah.
I've said this before about marriage being very resilient. You've said that before about marriage being very resilient. But, like, in my mind, I'm thinking if the things that we've gone through are because of the enemy throwing things at us, I'm like, he got to be very annoyed with us. Because
It's still standing. Uh-oh.
the way that we are ducking and dodging these arrows, these weapons.
Hey.
It's like, hi, you thought. But guess what?
You know I'm petty.
All things work. Okay? Thank you, Lord. So crazy. Okay. And while we ducking and dodging, listen, I'm getting stronger. Okay?
Hey.
Listen, endurance is up. Okay?
Hey.
I can run real fast. Okay?
Hey.
Real strong out here. Listen.
And the reality is, we've already won.
All right, victory is mine.
Wait a minute.
Victory is mine.
Wait a minute.
Victory today is mine.
Wait a minute. It don't take much. But
What is it? I told Satan to get thee behind.
Get
Victory
behind.
today is mine.
get behind.
So you can try. You can try. But I think that is one of the most amazing things when you can just be like, you know what, devil, you tried it.
He tried.
But it's not gonna work.
It didn't prosper.
It does not work. Whatever you throw at us is only gonna make us stronger.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
But and if God is for us,
who can be against us? When I tell you, when I read that scripture and it said God the avenger of his people. And I was like, Lord, be an avenger for your people, okay? And like people look at Spider-Man, people look at Captain America, people look at he's not a part of the Marvels, the Avengers, but anyways. Captain America?
Yeah.
Oh, he is. Okay, sorry. I was thinking like can confuse the DC.
Think about
Batman. They don't got nothing on my God, okay? They don't got nothing on my God. So yeah, that just got me hyped. But listen, I'm very proud of us. We have gotten through everything that this year has thrown at us. And I feel like we've gotten better because of it.
Yeah, it's made us better. Most importantly, he's made us better. God's made us better. And he has something in mind for us for the future that if we don't grow through this, who knows, So he knows what he's doing. Mm-hmm. He's making it all work together for the good. Yeah. So I'm proud of us. But yeah, like I said, 2024 has been a great year. Mm-hmm. We thank you guys for y'all support with the podcast. Yeah, we started the podcast.
We did start the podcast. We surely did.
In 2024.
In 2024.
Lord.
Thank you, God.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I forgot that.
So many great things have happened in this year. So.
Wow. I didn't realize that.
Yep.
Maybe y'all do me a favor, put in the comments what's been your favorite episode? What's been your favorite episode so far?
And also share your testimonies of 2024. Yeah. Like, what are some things that you're proud of yourself for in 2024? Because sometimes it's just something about, like you said, having a memory.
Yep.
I mean, and thinking about the faithfulness of God.
Yeah. Like the Bible says we overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word
of our testimony.
So, yeah, put it in a comment. Just share hey, how has God been faithful to you? Yeah. Or what's something that you've learned in 2024 that you are taking into 2025? You know what I mean?
And if you've never had a year, if you've never gone to a year with a word, think about doing it this year. Think about seeking God and finding a word or finding a scripture to really just like recenter and refocus your mind on. Because I feel like that was actually very helpful for us. Because the Bible does talk about like seeking things, like setting your mind on things that are above, right? And I think that that's because there's so many things that go on in this world. Like you need something to recenter and refocus your mind and your heart on.
Yeah.
And I think that was very important for us. So
yeah.
I would encourage people to do that.
Absolutely. Well, this is 2024.
Oh my goodness, is this your last podcast?
No.
Oh. I mean, like until the next year?
Yeah. I mean,
it is.
You gonna leave me hanging?
Oh my goodness! Sorry.
I was like, dang.
I just had a revelation. I'm like, oh wow, this is our last podcast of the year.
Yeah, but we'll be back.
Wow.
God willing.
Yeah.
And speaking of that, put some. I'm asking them to do a lot in the comments. Don't worry about that. What they want to hear about in 2025.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, y'all can put.
Yes, give us some topics.
Topic suggestions.
And speak to us. If you watch the podcast and you don't speak to us, please comment. Say something. This is the last podcast of the year. Y'all can say something.
Right.
Y'all can talk to us. Don't have us over here talking to ourselves, okay? We talk a lot.
Come on now.
It is nighttime, y'all. We doing this when the kids is asleep.
Listen,
okay?
It's work. But again, thank you guys so much for your support.
Yes.
With shares, subscribing, comments. Reposting on TikTok or giving. Thank you so much for just all the support. We're excited about some ideas that we have to continue to make this as beneficial and add value to you guys as well. So keep us in your prayers and 2025.